Let us welcome the last speaker of today's contest. The last speaker is Ms. Josephine from University of Sacred Heart. She will deliver her speech under the title, A Progressive Step. Ms. Eto, please come up to the stage and shout for a new word.
Thank you, Masters of Ceremonies and distinguished judges and a questioner. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Father becomes a little bit grumpy whenever it's election time in Japan. When I was little, I did not understand the depth of his displeasure. However, as I grew older, I started to realize the source of his disdain. My father is not allowed to vote. For more than 20 years, my father has been living in Japan and dutifully paying every kind of tax. He pays health insurance and pays into the Japanese pension fund as well. He has fulfilled the same duties as any citizens of Japan, yet he does not have the right to vote. I think he would make well-informed decisions when voting, because he is an effective communicator who reads, writes, and speaks Japanese fluently. But he is not allowed to vote, simply because he isn't a Japanese citizen. I decided to do some research to learn more about voting rights in Japan. 2 years ago, when I was a high school student, I sent a list of questions to the Election Administration Committee of Takarazuka City, where I used to live. They said the right to vote is given only to Japanese people. Apparently, one must become naturalized to be eligible to vote. I was disappointed to hear that a person who pays and supports a country financially would only be given the right to vote if they give up their own nationality. I then thought, could my mother, a Japanese national, vote in my father's home country, Ireland? I sent a similar list of questions to the Irish Embassy in Tokyo. I learned that if she fulfills certain requirements, she would be eligible to vote in local elections. I explained the situation in Ireland and asked the Takarazuka City office, why doesn't Japan have the same policy? They said my question was a matter which should be argued in the Diet. This answer did not satisfy me at all. So I did some more research and learned that among the 30 countries associated with OECD, Japan is one of the few countries that does not allow their foreign residents to vote in local elections. I also learned that a 1995 decision by the Supreme Court said that granting permanent foreign residents with foreign nationalities voting rights is not a violation of the Constitution. So, why does this problem still exist? To update my information, I phoned the Election Administration Committee of Ichikawa City, where I live now. The staff answered me that unless the public offices election law in Japanese constitution changes, a local public organization cannot revise the current system. Then he suggested me to contact the Election Administration of the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications, which I found as suggested. Unfortunately, the answer I got was that they are so busy preparing for the House of Representatives general election, which is held today, that they cannot answer why the foreign residents cannot vote in Japan. Not a day passes without hearing the word globalization. Many companies are hiring foreigners because they need broader perspectives and new ideas in order to survive international competition. I think this applies to the government too. Emeritus Professor Hiroshi Tanaka of Hitotsubashi University said that as a mature democracy, Japan should give foreigners the right to vote. If the ideas of foreigners living in Japan Japan are reflected, at least in the cities where they live, it will be beneficial for the foreign residents and also for the Japanese society in general. Then, in what way is it beneficial for Japanese society? I think there are two major benefits. First of all, giving foreign residents the voting rights will help attract young workers from all around the world. To solve the problem of rapid aging in Japanese society and falling birth rates, Japan seriously needs human resources, especially highly motivated young people. To give them the voting rights, at least in the local level, is a way of expressing that they can have a say in the communities they live, and also that they are the indispensable piece in our society. I think it will help them live permanently in Japan. Another major benefit is that it will enhance the image of Japan as a country that approves diversity of culture and respects human rights. I think Japan should aim to become a mature democratic country, a model for emerging economies in Asia. Consider for a moment, you are a foreign transfer student who couldn't vote in school elections just because you are a foreigner. Even though you pay the same amount of tuition, study even harder than the students in that country. I think you would say it's unfair. I think when this problem is seen in a small society like a school, the unfairness is notable. But in big cities, people tend not to notice the significance. However, it is the same problem, regardless of the size or number, and demands the same attention. It is past the time for the Japanese government to allow diverse types of ideas from the many foreigners living in Japan. In just a few years, I will be faced with the decision of maintaining my Japanese citizenship or becoming a naturalized citizen of Ireland. I am both Irish and Japanese and feel that I should not have to give up who I am just because the government hasn't the foresight to make the changes required to accommodate the diverse country that Japan is inevitably becoming. I long for the day when father no longer gets grumpy, but instead smilingly shouts on his way out the door, "I'm off to vote." I believe it would certainly be seen as a progressive step and betterment for the status of permanent residents in Japan. Above all, it would be a step towards further democratization in Japan. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Eto. Now, we'd like to move on to the question and answer session. Mr. Kusama, please.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Eto.
Thank you.
I think it's quite a contrast that a little while ago somebody was talking about low voting rate by the young Japanese people, while your father's kind of people were have been being endowed with the voting right. Why doesn't your father become nationalized as a Japanese? That solve the problem.
Well, I think if you were born in a different country and grew up until like 30 years old or something, it is very hard to lose the nationality of that country. So I think it's not because he's not loyal to Japan, but that he cannot lose the Irish nationality, but wants to live in Japan.
Okay, I see. Okay, you said your idea invites more, I just said that more capable young people from other countries. Is that really okay? Because they are capable and speak English, you may lose your leverage of being able to speak English. Is that okay? More competition in Shukatsu. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Why?
I think we should compete other capable young workers from all around the world, because we live in a globalized world and we have to know how to live together with those people.
Okay. Good luck. Okay, last question. Have you ever considered any negative sides or demerits of this idea, endowing foreigners with voting right here? Any demerits or negative sides for the job? In other words, why do you think the Japanese government doesn't allow foreigners to have voting right?
Yes, even though I insist on giving voting rights to foreign residents, I know this is a very difficult topic, so there are some demerits. And the demerit I can think of is that if the foreigners living in the city exceed the majority, maybe they will vote against the Japanese citizens' interests. So that might be the disadvantage.
Okay, what do you think of that kind of situation, potential situation? So we're Japanese and they vote for, I think it's natural for Japanese people around that. They vote for Japan. So if that happens, is that okay? Or?
I think...
You're Japanese, right?
Yeah.
Not Irish. If that happens, if Irish people vote for the GOJ in favor of foreign Irish government, is that okay? Suppose there's some conflict between the two countries.
Oh, well,
yeah, okay. So what do you think?
that's very difficult.
Yes, I think so.
Yes. If the important topic I like to say is that the foreign residents should express their opinion through voting. So the result will come after the voting, but I would like to say that this issue exists in this speech.
Okay. So you recognize that kind of potential problem. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kusama and Ms. Eto. This year, consumption tax increased is because Japanese government mission is enrich the quality of people living in Japan. However, it is contradiction that foreign residents in Japan don't even have the voting right. We have a responsibility to supervise their work, whether it is the work is correct or not. So it is out of problem whether we should go to vote or not. After today's contest and today's election, I'm looking for to hearing a reply to Ms. Eto from the Japanese government. I hope we all foreign residents in Japan can get voting right. This is my last shot. Thank you.